Promoter Eddie Hearn, we're back in America, another big show. Obviously, we're here a week or so ago with Bam. Now we're here for Boots. Just how excited are you for this monster show?
Yeah, it's been an incredible run coming up. I mean, obviously this, got AJ coming up in July. You got Croker Park, the big sellout with Katie Taylor, Bam last week, Ben Whittaker on the undercard this week. I think this one sort of stands out as one of the biggest shows of the year, not just for Matchroom, but in American boxing. I think it's the fight of the year, to be honest with you. And yeah, excited. I guess a little bit nervous because it's such a big fight and it's such a big moment for Boots, but also extremely confident at the same time in his ability. I love fights like this. Two young, undefeated guys risking it all. And of course, the Unified World Championship on the line.
We obviously had Bam last week, like you said, 26 years old, three-weight world champion. Boots, 28 years old, unified at welterweight, could be unified at super welterweight. When you think of the boxing landscape, the people at the top, the Usyks, Crawford's obviously just retired, do we potentially have 1 and 2 in the pound-for-pound rankings for the years to come, do you think?
Yeah, I said after the fight last week, like I think that everybody's now giving Bam all the credit in the world for his ability and his achievements, but I think the one thing that's not talked about enough is the age. It seems like when you reach that pound-for-pound greatness, you do it at the kind of, not the end of your career, but as you're coming into the final chapters. Bam's just getting started. I mean, he's not even halfway through his book. And at 26 years of age, I just see him getting better and better and better. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk about Naira Inoue. I think, of course, we all understand, as I just said before, that young, undefeated, pound-for-pound great fighters against each other in their prime is exactly what boxing needs. In AJ Fury, you have the biggest fight in boxing. In Bam against Inoue, you have something very close, but you have a pure boxers fans fight. I mean, you have really, with Usyk coming away probably, you have number 1, number 2, pound for pound fighting each other. So there's been a lot of talk, but there's been no talk to us. And I think everybody's getting very excited. You know, I'll meet with Robert Garcia this week and Bam. Probably our focus is to unify the division in November, December, unless we actually do get approached or get a call, because at the moment it's just talk. So I saw Mr. Ahashi come out yesterday and said, we are talking about the big fight. You know, no one's talking to us about the big fight. So I'm sure His Excellency will reach out soon, but probably have to do it sooner rather than later because we're just going to get better. So the gamble is really on us to move up to 122 and fight Inoue. Inoue's really needs Bam. I'm not saying he's not a huge star, but like, what are the big fights out there for Naira Inoue? Especially at 122 pounds, there aren't any. He's done it all. But we don't want to miss the boat as well. You know, we don't want him to move to 26 because then that fight's dead. So we just got to be a little bit careful with our planning. And if we are going to do the Inoue fight in what was supposed to be January, now they're talking about February, we will probably fight again. But originally, Bam's scheduled to fight November, December. So we'll have to look at the dates. We're ready to do the fight. Bam wants to fight. And I know that Robert Garcia feels like one more unification, we'll be even more ready to win that fight. But yeah, in answer to your question, at 26 years of age, and Boots at 28. I mean, you're not really seeing those guys. You look at the pound for pound list, you know, Inoue's in his 30s, Usyk's, you know, mid-30s beyond, going towards the end of his career. Obviously, Crawford's gone and retired. Bivol is another one of our guys. He's in his 30s, you know, coming into the final stages of his career probably as well. And, you know, of course, you've got Shakur, who's a younger guy. But, you know, I think when you look at Bam, Boots, Shakur, Benavidez, you know, these are the young lions that are willing to go for everybody. And it's an exciting time for the sport.
Is this the sort of fight then that Boots needs to get onto that list and start that run?
You can have pound for pound ability, but unless you have the resume, you don't belong on that list. All right. So for me, Boots is a top 3, certainly top 5 pound for pound guy now. But he doesn't deserve to be there because he hasn't beaten anybody on the pound for pound list. Now, Stanionis was like kind of top 15, you know, guy who was the number 1 welterweight in the world at the time. And Boots beat him, became the lineal champ or whatever you want to call it. He was the guy at 147. Great. But this is the fight that puts Boots on the pound for pound list. And in order to climb up the pound for pound list, that's my only thing really with Inoue, is that a lot of those guys haven't beaten guys off the pound for pound list. And it's difficult to do it because sometimes they're not on the pound for pound list. But for Jaron to be where he needs to be on that pound for pound list, he has to beat Zayas. He has to beat Fundora. He has to fight Josh Kelly. And has to fight all the champions, Virgil Ortiz. And if he goes through those guys, he'll be pound for pound number one. But I think because of the excitement in the division, because of the names in the division, it's all there for him. But let me tell you, I mean, the pressure was on to make this fight because you can have the greatest fighter in the world. If you can't make the big fights, what's he doing with Matchroom? And the Stanionis fight was amazing. We paid up, we got the fight. But we needed to deliver a big fight, and we did it in big style. But you have to respect Xander. Like, I'm sitting here today, we were talking off camera. I'm still a little bit nervous and confused as to why this guy's taking the fight and how he's so confident. And you got to give him unbelievable props. He's 23. He's a superstar of boxing. He could have fought anybody. But he chose, in my opinion, the best and most dangerous guy in the division to prove he's the best. Hats off, Mr. Zayas. This is what we need in boxing. And by the way, if you win, I'll bow down to you in that ring and I'll say you are the new young king of boxing. But I don't think so. I think you're going to see the new king of boxing being Jaron Boots Ennis, and I think you're going to see it in the most devastating fashion.
Is that one of the dangers in this fight, do you think, for Boots? He's been so confident the whole build-up. He says there's levels. He thinks Xander's too young. He's going to show that on Saturday. Yesterday, at the first face-off, he was really confident. Is that potentially a danger, do you think?
Do you know what? Honestly, I think both guys are so confident. This is what I'm saying to you. Like, it worries me a little bit when I see a guy, but what else are you supposed to do? Zayas is a winner. He's a champion, right? And that's what champions do. That's what winners do. They don't sit there and they don't project confidence. They don't sit there and think, oh, I don't know if I can win this fight. Zayas has no doubt in his mind he beats Boots. And Boots has no doubt in his mind he beats Zayas. One's 23, one's 28. Both undefeated. Both incredible fighters. One's from Puerto Rico, one's from Philly. I mean, this fight has got everything. I guarantee you a fight of the year, a moment of the year, a performance of the year, all on one night live on DAZN. Because this is what boxing needs. And that's why I say this is the best fight of the year in America, and actually even potentially worldwide so far in 2026.
If Boots does go out and do what he says he's going to do, go straight through Xander in pretty devastating fashion, what sort of statement does that send out to the world?
I mean, look, a win is always really what you need. I always say to fighters all the time, like, the way you win determines the noise you make. The noise you make determines the star that you are. So, and the one thing about Boots, and I'll tell you, it's the same for Bam. You want excitement. You don't want to see a defensive masterclass. You don't want to see a guy who's safety first. Watch Bam and Boots. They come in to get their opponents out. They come in to seek and destroy. That's why these guys are box office. That's why these guys are pound for pound. There's always a moment, what is it, Tom and Jerry, all this kind. There ain't no Tom and Jerry on Saturday, mate. This ain't a cartoon. This is a fucking horror movie. That's what you're about to watch. Blood and guts everywhere. And that's what big time boxing is all about. And Boots can do it all. Boots can box off the back foot. Boots' defense can be, when he wants it to be, impregnable. Boots can walk you down. Boots can fight you on the inside. Boots can punch. Boots has got a chin. You're talking old school Leonard, Hagler, Hearns, Whittaker, all thrown into one. And I'm going to make myself sound very silly if he don't win on Saturday. But this is what I truly believe. I think this is the crowning of one of the great fighters of our generation.
You've seen a lot of great fighters up close and personal. You've got great relationships with a lot of great fighters. Do you get that same feeling when you sit ringside and you watch Boots and Bam?
Yeah, because it's a weird feeling. You're watching someone who's so comfortable in the ring, so confident, whose pulse is like 40, standing in the ring, about to fight in front of the world. And there's very few fighters that I've worked with that I sit there and actually have no doubt they're going to win. Bam is one of them. Boots is another one. Bivol has, but even when he fought better Bivol, obviously, Shakur is a guy I think that I've worked with where I think I just can't see this guy losing. I felt that way a little bit about Canelo till Bivol beat him. So it just shows you that when you step up against another great fighter, things do change. But I just look at, if I could tell you how excited Boots is about this fight, not excited just because he's going to make a load of money, not excited because he's going to fill up the Barclays Center, but excited to show the world who he is. That's a different kind of guy. Do you know what I mean? We work in a sport where it's how much am I getting? This is a guy that says, I want to be I want the chance to show you how great I am. And by the way, he's getting very well paid for it. And that's our job. And they all need to be respected. But this is a guy who's saying, and the excitement is because he's going to be a 2-division unified world champion. But I just think it's because he wants to show his levels. He wants to show how great he is. And that's why I think he's so excited. Because he's you haven't seen. And it's the same with Bam. I think until Bam fights the Inoues and those kind of guys, you're never going to see the 100%. And I don't know if he's going to have to show 100% of his levels on Saturday. I don't think he will, but I think he's going to have to show, he's going to go through the levels to a level that he's never boxed at before to do what we need him to do. So, yeah, it's sometimes you just go in a changing room and you just know. And that'll be the same on Saturday. This is what he's been waiting for his whole life.
And then when you think on top of all that, we still have got Emiliano Vargas, Ben Whittaker on the card as well. It's just going to be an amazing night.
Yeah, and I think that really signifies, look, Vargas is not with us. He's with Top Rank, who we're having a great run with. By the way, we haven't won for a while. We need to win this fight. Vargas, there are a lot of similarities between Vargas and Whittaker. I think Whittaker's ahead in terms of the fights he's ready or getting ready for. But Vargas is a tremendous star. He's a great fighter, looks the part, knows how to promote himself, has built that excitement, built that brand across social and digital, and Ben's on another level of that kind of stuff. So this is a really big moment for Ben and for us in that partnership, because this walking out in front of a packed out Barclays is a real wonderful opportunity for him on so many different levels. One, from a profile, but two, from a I spoke to Andy Lee about this as well, from a experience point of view. This is a big moment. And Andy made a good point. These guys, American fighters, in terms of their liquidity and ability, are better than UK fighters. Our top guys, I think, can mix it with the American guys, but there are a lot more. The lower you get, what I'm saying is the guy who's 20th in America in the light heavyweight division is a hell of a lot better than the guy who's 20th in the British one. So they're all tough. And you got to marry up the excitement, the media, the razzmatazz with the performance. And that's what Ben's been doing so well. He has only done 2 rounds since we signed him. And what's that, coming up for 10 months now? But he's punching very hard. So yeah, I think you're going to see another superstar in the making.
Is that also a thing for him on Saturday? He's got such a big profile and audience, particularly in America where he's got a lot of fans. Is it about looking good, but also making sure ultimately he gets the win on Saturday?
At this level, this is the toughest fight of his career, I think. But still nowhere near the level where I think he will get to, and even where he is now. You got a winning style. I'm sorry, and I don't want to put pressure on someone, but let's just be honest, this is life. If you go out there and it's a bit boring and you struggle, when you are exuberant, when you are a character, everybody's going to want to try and knock you down. Oh, he's overrated. Oh, that wasn't a great performance. Oh, it's Ben Whittaker. Oh, Now, you do the reverse, the haters will still hate, but everyone will be talking about you. And if you go out and you starch this guy and you make the world go, fuck me, and you make America say, wow, mega. So, yeah, if you win and you win okay, good experience. But we don't want to win okay. We want to win in fantastic fashion.
Are there any plans beyond this fight already in your mind, what you'd like to do with Ben, should he come through?
So Ben will be fighting in October, all being well on Saturday, back in Birmingham. And we need a big fight. We need either a final eliminator for the World Championship, or better, a final eliminator for the World Championship against a Brit or a domestic fight. You got, right now, a lot depends on what Bivol decides to do with the WBO Championship. It's been very well documented that Callum Smith could fight Buatsi for that vacant championship. Bivol has to fight Callum Smith or vacate. And Bivol is talking about, and we're in negotiations, and we're all talking amongst ourselves about Beterbiev and about Benavidez. So if he chooses that route, it'll be Callum against Buatsi for the vacant title. That would headline the 7v7 or whatever you want to call it between Matchroom and Queensberry, which would be fantastic. I mean, it'd be a rematch of fight of the year for the world title. Beneath that, you have the Lyndon Arthurs, the Willie Hutchinsons, the Anthony Yards, the Zach Parkers. I'm probably missing out some. You got Connor Wallace from Ireland, who's number 2 with the IBF. Like all these kind of guys who are good fights for Ben. And that's what we need. We need a guy who is going to be basically a big headline fight in Birmingham. But also at this point now, we're turning the screw about setting ourselves up for fighting for the World Championship. And, the winner of Callum Smith against Joshua Buatsi is going to be a target for Ben Whittaker. Because all of a sudden, that's a huge fight. Callum against Whittaker, Buatsi against Whittaker for the World Championship. But these are steps. We know exactly where we're going with Ben. And it was a little bit slow at first because of Boots against Ortiz. Now we're absolutely flying. Get this one on Saturday. Big fight in October for Ben Whittaker. Before we do get to Saturday, there's also a little bit of business down under with Lewis Crocker. He's a champion, but he's into Liam Paro's back garden. What can you expect from that one? To be the challenger. I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff. Matchroom have got no one out there. Poor Tom Dallas, who's out there, representing us. So I'm here. Anyone, and it's like, we lost the purse bid by $20,000. And people, he's standing on that side. He's not. Yeah, fucking right. Mate, it's a smash and grab. So I spoke to the guys this morning out there. I said, listen, you're the challenger. From that first bell, you are fighting to rip the belt away from Liam Paro. Fuck trying to get through the fight and winning on points or coasting out a decision. Get into him and get into him early. You see him in the last fight, Paro's a good fighter. I like those guys. Marked up bad. He's not a welterweight. He was certainly not a big welterweight. Lewis Crocker looks in unbelievable shape. Get into him and get into him early. Bust him up, body, head, nose, cheeks, wherever you want, and know what you are, a big, strong punching welterweight. And each of those guys, I spoke to them, they got it, they know exactly what they've got to do. Lewis Crocker will win by knockout. I truly believe that. And listen, it's not going to be easy because Paro's a quality fighter. But if you start fast and you bust him up early, he will stop him. Saturday does, I guess, draws a line in the sand with the first half of 2026 for Matchroom. Some people will say we've done about 3 shows, but I think we're on 18 or 19. What can you sort of tease for fight fans for the rest of the year? I wanted 40 shows this year, so I think we're at 19 after Boots. So we've got a little bit of catch up to do. We've got so much planned. I mean, it's a huge, huge period coming up for us. Obviously, in July, you have the return of Anthony Joshua. July 18th, the week before, you have Pacheco, Andy Cruz in a big show in LA. Going into August, we will have a show in London to be announced shortly. We'll also have another show in Australia, headlined by Tera Moana. Katie Taylor will go September the 5th in front of what will be close to 90,000 at Croke Park. Should be absolutely incredible. Pat Brown against Hedges will be announced shortly. I'm probably missing some stuff. We'll have a huge show on September 4th in America as well, the Friday night before the Katie Taylor fight. Pat Brown, as I said, against John Hedges, which will headline with actually in Manchester. Then you'll have Ben Whittaker in a big fight, all being well, Saturday, headlining in October, early October. Then in October as well, you will have Dalton Smith fighting Puello in the rescheduled fight as well. Bam to get out. Boots, once he wins on Saturday as well. Bivol against Benavidez and Beterbiev. I'm probably missing a load of stuff as well, but just rampacked all around the world for the rest of the year, and looking forward to what will be, a schedule that will be announced. I think when we announce our schedule, probably next week, it will probably be 12 shows that will be announced close off the bat. And yeah, looking forward to just a big end to the year. But first of all, huge night in New York on Saturday.
One fight that we do hope, should happen at the end of 2026 is Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. There's been a lot of talk recently about where that fight may take place. What can you tell us about the latest?
Well, the reality is the fight's, not decided in terms of where it will take place. There's no decision been made, despite people saying they know where it is, etc., etc. I've said it so many times, and I'll say it again. Under our contract, the fight has to take place in the UK. When we negotiated that contract, it was our absolute intention to give the British fight fans the biggest fight ever in British boxing. Now, there's other things in that contract as well that's been very well documented. Now, listen, if people want to change the venue, and we'd be a little bit disappointed, if I'm honest, and I think it's a bit disappointing for British fight fans, but also at the same time, we want the fight to happen. If all of a sudden Turki Al-Sheikh wants the fight to happen in the US, of course, we'll have those conversations. The contract will have to be renegotiated, which I'm not saying can't be done. I'm not sitting here saying, we're not going to America. But we signed under the understanding and with the terms in that contract that the fight will be taking place in the UK. Now, we're not looking to be difficult. And if all of a sudden there's a better opportunity for that fight to land in America, it is what it is. We'll sit down, we'll renegotiate, we'll have a chat, and we'll see if that's possible. But, like I said, it was always our understanding and our feeling that this is a fight that should take place in the UK. But Turki Al-Sheikh's paying the bill. And the bill's expensive. So whatever makes it happen and whatever makes it work, we don't want to be obstructive, we want to help. But the contract will have to be renegotiated.
Well, we'll see how those talks go. Still here in New York, obviously we've got the boxing, we've got the darts as well, and the World Cup. Just your final message to fight fans.
Listen, obviously World Cup, football, the darts on Thursday and Friday, sold out at Madison Square Garden. What will be, I think very close to probably sold out at the Barclays Center on Saturday. It's a huge week for us. Tune in live on DAZN to watch the big fight, and I think you will get not just value for money, but I think you'll get fight of the year.